So we're speaking about intermittent fasting. It's the most kind of sought after diet now. It's the most trendy diet. What is it? It's basically a practice of alternating periods of eating and not eating or fasting. There are different types of diets. So you have like the 14-hour fast and the 10-hour feed. You have the 16-hour fast and the 8-hour feed. You have the 24-hour fast where like you fast for the entire day, either 1 or 2 times per week or even alternate days, and you eat the other times of the day. This is slightly tricky because there is some scientific evidence, but it is often and extremely misconstrued or extremely misguided to the audience or to the normal, to the general population. It's important to understand that the way scientific research works is that it starts from animal studies, or it starts from case reports. It starts from a scientist saying, oh, what if I restrict for XYZ hours? Will there be something? Will there be a benefit? And slowly, you keep doing studies until you go up this pyramid. Once you reach this pyramid of when there is a solid amount of evidence for a particular kind of claim, for a particular hypothesis, that's when you even say, huh, maybe it's true. Maybe if I restrict for XYZ hours, it can be beneficial. But it requires lots and lots of scientific studies and research to go through. My point being that the first claim that intermittent fasting speaks about is that it helps in cellular repair or cell repair, or this fancy word called autophagy. Unfortunately, it's still at an animal trial basis. It is only being done on and proven in rats and in mice. So it basically means that we have a long way to go until we can even prove that there is cellular repair because of intermittent fasting in human beings, right? So this is what we mean by when we say that the evidence is extremely weak. Another claim that we talk about that we attribute to intermittent fasting is that it provides weight loss. And a logical explanation for this is that, of course, if you have a reduced eating window, if you eat less, then automatically you consume lesser calories. So you can't specifically say only with intermittent fasting this is happening. But the side effect of doing all of this is that you have you have to note the eating behaviors that develop when you're doing intermittent fasting. So what happens is that you have what it tends to happen is this last supper approach. Just because I'm doing intermittent fasting, I can eat whatever I want in those 4 hours. This whole let me freak out because I'm not going to get to eat after these whatever 6 hours or 4 hours of that I'm eating. I can't eat after that. So this eating window becomes a purge. So that becomes an excuse to have all your to have unbalanced food, to have calorie dense food. The meal before you go on that fast in the evening becomes this last supper behavior where, like, you just keep hoarding onto the food because you're like, even though you're full, you're just going to keep having more and more food because, like, I don't know, I'm not going to get food after this, so I'd rather eat more and more. It makes you feel absolutely full and stuffed, and you're not respecting your hunger satiety cues at this time. As I said, it leads to disordered eating, and it has shown to have low compliance. There's also this claim that it improves insulin sensitivity. So there was this paper that was released, or this research paper that was released which was done on human beings, and it showed that it helps in insulin sensitivity and reduces postprandial insulin, etc. But although it was a really good paper, the number of people it was tested on was only 8 people, or only 8 subjects. So we cannot apply this on everyone. The fact of the matter is that we require more evidence or more scientific inquiry to even come to conclusive statements. So right now, this is a good paper, and scientists will use this um, to do other researches, but this means nothing to the general audience and shouldn't be applied. There is no long-term study or no long-term scientific evidence to support the superiority or the fact that intermittent fasting is good until now. But what we do know about prolonged fasting is that it does cause low moods. If you're not eating for a long time, you do end up having low moods, extremely cranky, low energy levels. It may cause headaches, may cause anxiety, may cause disordered eating patterns. You have this unhealthy binge and restrict cycle that I spoke about. So you can see what the kind of the unhealthy side to fasting for longer hours, and it may even cause gastritis or acidity in people who are prone to acidity. So but what we can safely adopt from intermittent fasting scientific studies so far is that it may be a good idea to eat dinner slightly earlier, and if it's possible, not to have anything after that. But and this has been proven from chrononutrition studies, but this is can be a part. You don't have to do intermittent fasting for this. This can be a part of your balanced healthy diet approach in general. um, so I mean, it's a cultural thing. You can do it. Again, as a nutritionist, it is our duty to respect your culture, and if your culture says that you cannot eat after 7 o'clock and you can't eat the next day, it's up to you. But that being said, if my patient comes presenting with low moods, low energy levels, headaches, anxiety, disordered eating patterns, an unhealthy binge restrict cycle, or has acidity, I will ask them to reconsider and see whether they can eat a small snack after sunset. Otherwise, if they're fine with it, it's okay. I'm just saying I wouldn't impose it on someone who's non-gen or whose culture doesn't
Yeah.
make them do it.
I guess if you have been doing it for most of your life, your body's used to that pattern and you're sort of
Exactly.
listening to your body as you go.
Yeah, yeah. Again, it's a cultural thing. We cannot disrespect the culture. It's up to you. It's a very personal thing, but we know that if you don't feel any of these things in the blue box, then go ahead and do it, but don't force yourself, is what I'm saying. If it's for religious or cultural reasons, you believe in it, then it you can do it, and it's okay if you do it once in a while, or if it's a religious thing. But again, if you're fasting even for religious reasons, you're feeling anything in these blue boxes, then I'd ask you to reconsider it. Or even if you have acidity, for that matter, what's the point of fasting when you're in a bad mood, or like you're gonna blast at people, and there's no point, and there's no fun, there's no you might have to take this into consideration.